kind of a similar off-week schedule to what you had a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, very, very similar. You know, Monday we got a little bit of meetings and lifting in. Tuesday got work on the field. Today got work on the field, meetings and all of that. Trying to get back healthy as much as we can at this point, and try to get a little bit ahead on Florida State, and then tomorrow we'll get a little bit and get a little bit of time for them to rest, reload, and get ready to go for this next 3-game push.
How challenging is it to balance 2 open weeks so close together?
It took forever to get to the first one. We needed it earlier. That being said, I think the guys have handled it well, and we've had a good week, and they understand how it's kind of being broke up at this point, and so I think they're in the right mindset, and now we got to go out and, get ready for the next 3 games.
You start a bunch of FSU stuff at this point already?
Just like we did last time. I mean, we've got a couple of different periods in there where we put a little more emphasis and focus on them to try to get a little bit ahead. Obviously, we'll see how they play this weekend and see kind of from that standpoint what's changed, what hasn't changed, and make sure that we're in the right spot where we want to be game plan-wise and get ready to go.
You ever cross paths with Mike Norvell? I know you've been at Tulsa at different times, but...
Yeah, I mean, we were in the same conference together for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, when he was at Memphis.
Hallmarks of his offense or anything that...
Well, I mean, Gus is there running it now, and so I see a lot more Gus than I do. I don't think Mike's really into... I'm sure he has some influence on it, but I think obviously him and Gus, he worked with Gus back in those days, and so I'm sure he's kind of just turned it all over to him, and it looks more like what Malzahn does more than it did what Mike is.
What kind of stands out from what Gus does offensively in your mind?
Yeah, Mike did a good job. He had a lot of RPO stuff. He had some unbalanced stuff. He would work some tempo in there, a little bit more gap principles to it. You've watched Gus. Gus is going to change tempos on you some. He's a little bit more zone-oriented in some areas. Going to try to get the ball out on the edges. Going to have a trick play here or there. That's kind of been his MO throughout the years, and he's been really good at it.
What stands out about the quarterback, Tom Castellanos?
Yeah, first of all, he's a good athlete. Got a lively arm. Does some really good things. Got to keep him. Got to be honest when you're playing with him. He's a guy, once he gets out in the open field, can really make some things happen. They got some quarterback run stuff for him. So, you got to be really tuned in to what's happening in the backfield. They'll give you a lot of different eye candy back there. And so you got to be assignment sound as you play them. But I think he's a really talented dual threat quarterback. And, we're going to have our hands full with him.
And then Jeff Overton was able to come on the field last week. Just developmental-wise, what's the biggest thing that stood out to you?
It was good just to see him get some action, right? Coming off the injury, first time really being in live action, being at this speed, college level, knocking the rust off. Hadn't been hit in over a year, so I thought he handled it really well, handled the atmosphere of it, did some good things, was close to having some really big runs in there, and so he's a talented young man. We'll see how he continues to develop, but it was great to have him back.
Is it nice? He seems a little bit different style of runner from the other guys you have there.
He is a little bit different. The other two, both of them got twitch, they got speed, they got power, they're heavier backs. Jeff's got a little bit more cut. Probably his top end speed might be a little bit more than the others. Does a good thing as far as catching the ball out of the backfield. Handled some things in the protection last week for a young guy. I thought he did really well in that because we got some different looks in there. So he's developing, and I think he'll be a nice fixture in the backfield around here.
Is it good to get him some work in, knowing he's got his redshirt year because of not playing the first game?
It really didn't come down to that. It was really about getting him cleared. And once we got him cleared doctor-wise, then we started trying to add him to the mix. He's been practicing. He's been doing what he could do, but he finally fully got cleared, and obviously we got an opportunity to use him.
What have you seen out of Florida State's defense
You know, I tell you about them. They first of all, they're big, they're long, they're athletic. They can really move around. They get a lot of hats to the ball. They got a lot of eyes looking at that. You know, they can mix it up and drop 8, and then all of a sudden you got 7 of them coming. So they're a tough matchup from that standpoint. But we got to do a great job of, you know, getting things targeted, creating some movement, and you know, staying ahead of the chains. Because once you get behind them, they got a lot of exotic things that they can bring at you, and we need to stay on the forefront.
With the benefit of film study, did you see anything in the punt team that some of the issues with coverage there and guys getting before you?
Yeah, you know, we've got some things to fix in that area. I think Coach Holt is doing a good job of that as we continue to get through the bye week. That's been a big emphasis for us this week. And those guys, I think, are trending in the right direction. We just got to continue to be on the same page, keep the communication part of it right, get it targeted right. And then when we got to get down there, we got to get hats around the football and get him on the ground. He's a talented returner, but I think really every team we play for the rest of the season is going to have a talented returner.
I mean, you always hear people say, "Oh, just kick it out of bounds" or something like that. Is that tougher than it sounds to directionally punt it like that and get it exactly where you want down the field?
Yeah, I mean, some of that is part of it. You know, it's all about the operation. It's about the hang time. It's about the placement of the punt. You know, there's so many different factors to that. And let's be honest, when you sit there and drop a ball and then you kick it off your foot, sometimes it doesn't go exactly where you want it to go. So there's more variables to that than it is, hey, just kick it out of bounds, right? Well, yeah, I can kick it out of bounds. It might only go 10 yards too. So you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of that when you do it.